Snow fell like shattered glass the night everything changed, and the red car stood twisted at the side of the road like a wounded animal gasping for breath. Inside it, a young woman was slipping away, her pulse fading with every frozen second, while a single father with nothing left to lose stepped into the storm without hesitation, unaware that this one reckless act of mercy would collide his fragile life with unimaginable truth. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet heroes hidden among us, take a moment right now to like this video, share it, comment, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness, because stories like this deserve to travel far and heal hearts. He had been driving home after a long shift, hands stiff from the cold, mind heavy with unpaid bills and thoughts of his daughter asleep alone in their small apartment. Life had not been gentle with him since his wife passed away. Every day was a calculation of survival, every night a silent promise that his little girl would never feel abandoned. When he saw the wrecked car ahead, hazards blinking weakly through the snow, he slowed only for a second. Fear whispered that he had no money for trouble, no time to be late, no strength left to give. But then he saw her slumped against the open door, blood tracing her cheek, eyes fluttering as if struggling to remember how to stay awake. In that instant, fear lost its voice. He pulled over, coat already dusted white, and ran toward the unknown. The cold burned his lungs as he reached her, and the world narrowed to the fragile rise and fall of her chest. Her clothes were soaked, her hands trembling, the car window shattered like a spiderweb of ice. He did not know her name, her life, or her worth in the eyes of society. All he knew was that someone's daughter was dying in front of him, just as his own daughter could one day need a stranger's mercy. He wrapped his coat around her shoulders, ignoring the numbness creeping into his fingers, and fought the panic that threatened to paralyze him. Time felt warped, stretched thin between each heartbeat as he dragged her gently away from the car, shielding her from the biting wind with his own body. Help was slow to come. The road was quiet, the storm relentless, and the minutes felt like hours carved from ice. His hands shook not just from the cold, but from the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He kept thinking of his daughter's smile, the way she laughed when he pretended to be strong even on days he felt broken. That memory fueled him as he stayed awake, alert, refusing to let the stranger drift into darkness. When the sirens finally cut through the storm, relief hit him so hard his knees nearly gave way. He stayed until they took her, watching as she disappeared into flashing lights, not knowing if she would live, and not knowing that fate had already begun weaving threads far beyond his imagination. Days passed, and life returned to its familiar rhythm of exhaustion and quiet perseverance. He went back to work, packing boxes in a warehouse where effort rarely earned recognition. His daughter asked why his hands were still red and cracked, and he smiled, brushing it off with the gentle lies parents tell to protect innocence. He never spoke of the night again, never sought praise, never expected anything in return. To him, it was just what needed to be done, even if it meant risking everything he had left. What he did not know was that the woman he saved lay in a private hospital room, surrounded by worried faces and whispered prayers. She was the only daughter of a powerful CEO, a woman who had grown up surrounded by privilege but had never truly understood the quiet sacrifices of ordinary lives. As she slowly regained consciousness, fragments of memory surfaced through pain and confusion, snow, darkness, and the feeling of being held together by someone who refused to let go. When she asked who had saved her, the room fell silent because no one had an answer. There was no name, no number, only the knowledge that a stranger had stepped into the storm for her. Weeks later, when she was strong enough to search for him, the truth emerged through police reports and hospital notes, leading her to a man who lived far from her world of glass offices and luxury cars. She learned about his life, his loss, his daughter, and the quiet dignity with which he carried his burdens. The realization struck her harder than the crash ever had. The man who saved her had nothing, yet he gave everything. The man who had risked his life without knowing her name was employed by her father's company, invisible among thousands, just another number in a system that measured value by productivity, not humanity. Change did not come as a dramatic announcement or public spectacle. It arrived slowly, deliberately, like warmth returning after a long winter. The CEO learned what his daughter had learned, and for the first time in years, policies and profits took a backseat to compassion. The single father was called into an office he had only ever seen from afar, his heart pounding with fear of losing his job. Instead, he walked out with security he had never known, with support for his daughter's education, and with a quiet respect that no paycheck could fully express. More importantly, the company itself began to change, influenced by one act of courage that exposed the humanity hidden beneath corporate walls. For the daughter, recovery was not just physical. She carried the weight of gratitude and a newfound purpose, dedicating herself to honoring the kind of courage that saved her life. She never tried to repay him with words, knowing they would fall short. Instead, she chose to live differently, to notice people like him, to ensure that no one who gave everything would ever feel invisible again. Just before we reach the end, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us what kindness means to you, or share a moment when a stranger changed your life, because your story might be the hope someone else needs today. In the end, the single father returned to his small apartment each night, still tired, still human, but no longer alone in the fight. His daughter grew up watching her father not as a man who struggled, but as a hero who chose compassion when it mattered most. And somewhere beyond the snow and broken glass, a powerful family learned that true wealth is not measured in success, but in the lives we save when no one is watching. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the smallest act of kindness can ripple across lives, please like, share, and engage with this video, and stay with Ripple of Kindness, because together we keep these stories alive.